Testing. Hello. Okay, I'm back. And I have a microphone. I feel like a podcast host. After looking at my views of the last video compared to all of the ones that I made before that, I realized that everyone wants me to talk about minimalism. So that is what I'm gonna do today. I want to talk actually about the opposite of minimalism, which is maximalism. And I want to clear up some misconceptions because I think a lot of people think that if you're a minimalist, you cannot be a maximalist and vice versa. But actually, that is so not true. And I actually have a lot of respect and admiration for maximalists because a lot of the time they are doing a better job than many minimalists, including myself a few years ago when I was just getting started with minimalism. When I was 12 years old and I watched my first video of Marie Kondo Marie, I don't know if I should put the Japanese accent or not, Marie Kondo. I watched her decluttering video and I was so inspired. So I cleared all of my stuff up. I folded all of my things into the little squares, like she said to. And I painted all of the walls of my bedroom white. And then I started counting my things. I had like 100 items. I would not even keep spare pens because that would increase the number of items that I had. That was a bit of a crazy era. And in this case, I was doing minimalism wrong because I was very determined to reach the minimalist aesthetic. I wanted to look like a minimalist. I wanted people to see my room and my space and think, that girl is a minimalist. Which is not how it works. I don't want to sell that image of minimalism to people, even though it does look very funny to see a little 12-year-old girl in a totally empty bedroom.
Hello and welcome to the Minimalist.
So minimalism is not the aesthetic. It is not about having white walls, and it is not about having all of your clothes be black and white, even though you can see they're mostly black and white. But the reason why I think the style and the lifestyle get mixed together is because there is a lot of Japanese influence. So if we look at the people who first started this big boom, a lot of it started from Marie Kondo. But before Marie Kondo, we also had danshari, where everything is very traditional Japanese and it is like white walls and the paper screen doors. And at the same time as that, as this like minimalist boom was happening, we also had lots of brand logos were changing their fonts and they were changing their products that they sell, and we still see it now, like with Tesla and whatever. And we also had a rise in more Japanese brands coming into the international market, I think. Uniqlo suddenly became very, very popular, and also Mujirushi or Muji. I see a lot of TikToks now of like English people who are like, buy their pens! All of these different aspects put together. The brand images are being changed more minimalist, the Japanese style, and minimalism, they all kind of come together in a package, which means that many people have the misconception that minimalism is always about the minimalist style, which is so disappointing because I really want more people to become minimalists, and I don't want them to paint their walls white and throw everything away and, I don't know, rebuy all of their clothes in black and white. So what I'm talking about is more tied to underconsumption and keeping items that you actually care about and actually like to use and have in your room rather than just trying to match everything to one style. And I feel like this is where Maximalists do a really good job. I'm making a lot of generalizations, but one of my best friends is a super maximalist. They search really hard to find an item that they think matches their identity very well. So even if it is for something simple, maybe like kitchen utensil or just a little ornament to, I don't know, be a bookend, all of these items they often search very hard for in secondhand stores, they go to charity shops, and they build a place which is full of items that they really care about. And that is being a minimalist, even if it doesn't look like what you think it looks like. Now we are seeing a huge rise in maximalism because everybody is so sick of the white walls and of minimalist style, and it looks very sterile. There's not a lot of personality happening. So we're seeing this big rise. Everybody wants to have that maximalist style back again. And I think that this is great. And I want people to know that this is minimalism also. Another thing I noticed that what maximalists are doing is that they tend to look after their things for a very long time. And they really tend to take care of the things that they already have. And this extends the usage life of the items, which means that they're actually consuming a lot less because they're thinking more about what they want to consume next and they're caring more for the things that they already have. When I see people who are trying to keep up with the minimalist trend by like buying beige and white clothes, and they're painting their walls, decorating their house, they're buying those funny like silver ornaments that don't really look like anything. This is the minimalist style, but that is also just another consumption trend redressed. And I want to emphasize how minimalism really is more something that will continue to live through every trend, regardless of what color they are, regardless of what furniture there is or what clothes style there is, etc. And I will be so disappointed if I find that minimalism dies down just because people think that it can only be with this style. And I am still following this style because I am half Japanese. I feel very attached to the Japanese roots of minimalism, which means that I don't think I will become a minimalist with the maximalist style. I'll probably end up still being in the same stereotypical genre of minimalism for a long time. But I also think that for me, having this space that looks very clean and very tidy is going to help me create more interesting things. So I'm really keen to push minimalism because I think it is such an interesting way for people to become happier. Like, I think we are so often sold, the idea is sold to us that we need to buy things for us to feel happier. And I think it is great that you can do basically the opposite thing and get better results. I'm very eager to say this message again and again and again because I do not want people to erase their identities or erase their culture, erase their history just to conform to one style. I said this at the end of the last video as well, but I want to hear more stories of people who are not just like white Americans from middle class background, because this is the minimalism that we have already seen for a long time with the two guys, Joshua Fields Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus. I love them very much, but I want to see a more diverse range of people trying this style out. And I think that if you look back into different cultures, you will often find that they are conforming to minimalism in many ways, in the way that you need to respect your items and you need to take care of your different things. You can see this in so many different ways. Even though I'm only able to speak about what I think are the Japanese roots, I'm sure there are many people who can say the same thing from their culture, and I would love to hear about that and how that works. So, yes, I'm really pushing for inclusive minimalism, which might not even look very aesthetic at all. I'm talking about people who are maximalist, but this is also a style where everything looks very well put together. But maybe you don't really have an aesthetic at all, and all you want is a more practical and easier way to live, where you can focus on your hobbies and your room does not get cluttered as often. And I really like just how applicable it is, and I want people to know that so that we don't end up in the same cycle of just following different trends and buying more things and then following another trend and so on. So this is my message, and I want to talk more about like the different benefits of minimalism for yourself, which are more focused on like your hobbies and your identity, learning what you like and what kind of things you want to try out. How minimalism can also allow you to spend more time on your hobbies. But I think I've already talked about this in the second half of my last video, so I don't want to repeat myself. I'll end the video here. Thank you for watching today, and feel free to follow along on my Instagram, but I'll also try to be posting more on here. So, see you soon. Bye. Thank you. Just to further prove the point, my whole house is pretty minimalist style. Everything is pretty empty. We live in a traditional English cottage in the countryside. So it looks a bit funny when the two styles are put together. This is the room I filmed my very first YouTube videos in. Feels so nostalgic now. I'm showing you this as an example of what you don't need to do, because there is no need to go as extreme or as white, bland, basic, whatever you want to call it. It's not necessary. You can keep your current style and still be a minimalist.